It's focus check time, and Nino is not here. Felix, where is Nino? Do you know where is Nino?
Oh no, it's time. Sorry, I missed the time. New week, new DJI product.
Great, let's get rolling.
This is Focus Check, the weekly Cinetech podcast.
Hi Nino, how are you? What do you have on your head after such a storming entrance?
New DJI product, the Osmo Nano. So welcome everybody to episode 83 of CineD Focus Check. And this week we'll talk about the new Osmo Nano. We'll also talk about a couple of important videos and articles that we still published after IBC and a few other things that we came across this week. But let's just start it with the Osmo Nano. Now, you're a big user of the Pocket 3, right?
That's right.
What do you think about the Osmo Nano?
Well, actually, it's a very interesting product. But let me just start to ask the obvious: is it comfortable to have it on your head?
Well, yes. I mean, it's fine. It's small. It's
nano.
It's nano. I like the form factor. Now, for those of you who remember the Osmo Action 2,
yep.
That was, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. We are now on the Osmo Action 5, which now looks like basically the GoPro form factor again. So the second generation that DJI brought out was actually this. We have it here.
That's the last one. That's the
Osmo 2, the Action 2. And that is 4 or 5 years old. And that was actually the same kind of concept. You had a separate camera module and as like a detachable monitor, and it's magnetic, and you can detach it and turn it around. It actually felt a little bit more rugged, I have to say. It's fully metal. It had this additional thing for battery, and they kind of forgot about this concept for a couple of years. And I know a lot of people who are still using these because of the form factor, because it's so small. Now, of course, technology has advanced.
Fast forward.
The new thing with the Osmo Nano is that basically you have this monitor unit here. I think they call it the vision extension or something. I forgot. And this is now wireless, so it actually transmits wirelessly the video. You can use this separate. You don't have to. They both have batteries built in, and you can use them separately, which is very nice, of course. Also, this is magnetic, so you can put this on any metal surface, and it will just stick to it, same as this part.
A second.
And this is not. This is aluminum.
It's not metal, yeah.
It's metal, but it's aluminum, which is not magnetic. Maybe this here. No. Oh, this one. The top part here is magnetic. But so, it's nice that it works independently of the actual monitor. You can plug it in like this. So you can actually do like a selfie cam mode like this, and then film yourself vloggy style, which works nicely. Also, this is a bigger battery. This monitor unit has a bigger battery, so it actually is charging the camera. So I think they say in 20 minutes, it charges the camera up to 80%. You can also turn it around, and then automatically, of course, you can use it like a normal camera. I can see you now. Actually, let me record this so we can cut this in. So, I can use it like this now.
4x3. I really wonder if that has an open gate, so we can discuss later.
I can switch to a 4x3 mode, so I can actually... It is wider, so you have more information on top and bottom when you do that. I checked that. So it is actually the better resolution, I guess.
I have to say it looks very convincing. I mean, I can see so many family usage next to professional usage. So it's all boils down to the quality. How is the picture quality?
Picture quality is very good. I saw some, we didn't do our own comparison yet, but of course this is going head to head to the Insta360 Go Ultra, which was also recently announced. You see the Go Ultra is a little bit higher, but it is thinner. So, it's small in a different way, I would say. The image quality is similar. They have both they seem to have their advantages and disadvantages. Now, this is a 1/1.3 inch sensor, so it is smaller like in the Pocket 3, but it seems to be the same. It seems to look exactly the same as the image from an Action 5. So like
and it has a
might be
D-Log M also.
and it has D-Log M, exactly. And that's the big advantage over the Insta360, that this has a D-Log M or any kind of log mode. Now,
it's
and
also
it's
very
10
good
bit,
with audio.
10-bit.
No, it's also very good with the audio because the kit will include this kind of DJI
It depends on the kit you buy.
Mic 3. Yeah.
It depends on the kit you buy. You can connect up to 2 of the DJI mics with it, and it goes directly into the camera. So even if you're not using this monitor extension thing, you can connect it directly to the camera, and up to 2 of microphones, which is of course great for any kind of vlogging style. You want to film yourself biking and do a commentary or whatever, it works and it connects directly. Now there are some limitations with the monitoring, because as soon as you switch this on, this microphone, the remote monitoring will stop working, and I guess that's a bandwidth problem.
It's using the same channel.
Yeah, so
I guess.
you switch this on, and it's already paired with the camera. Let's try this.
I had a similar issue with the Osmo Pocket 3, and then they solved it somehow. That was my feeling. Maybe I'm wrong, but they solved it somehow. But hopefully this can get a firmware update, and maybe 2 channels of transmission can work, so both are connected. Like from the it's a Bluetooth connection. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you get at least 2 channels of audio, which is great. Of course, you can even do conversations with this or 2 people, and yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's funny that. Felix was saying before we started recording that everything comes in waves, like it's not like this is a new concept, because again, we've seen it with the Action. We've also seen it with a much older actually but product from Insta360 from, I don't know how many years ago. This was the 1R, if people remember. And this 1R was, like a modular design. So basically it's also a separate, I'm just taking it out of the cage here. It's also a separate monitor unit, but there was like a separate battery, which was not built in. But you have a monitor unit that is connected to a camera, which is also like a little cube. And at that time, of course, Insta360 was still a much smaller company. I mean, they were still doing a lot of products already, but mostly known for 360 cameras, hence the name. This was, I think, their first action cam style camera. And they have, of course, enhanced this concept with the original Go, so making a really tiny camera, which got a little bit larger, arguably. Then DJI did the Action 2. They exited the market. Now they're going back into it. Yeah, it's not new, but you can see the technological advancement, especially in the modularity. Image quality-wise, if you look at videos from the Action 2, you can still see that they look great, actually. Of course, the new one is better, but I would say, like in 4 or 5 years' time, it's not like it's a revolution, like
it's an evolution, not a revolution. But I really like the concept. I can see so many things to do. I mean, the big maybe difference between this one and the Osmo Pocket 3, which is obviously like a mechanical gimbal, that maybe this one is you can work hands-free. Because if you put it like you did on your head and you're aware of this, maybe some stuff, I guess, for skiing and all of those things.
Even behind the scenes on a shoot, you can do, like, if you want to show something on a camera, how we are operating cameras or doing a review. There's a lot of use cases, of course.
Let's try to work with this a little bit and come back and report to our audience, because...
And it's waterproof, by the way, which I think the Action 2 was not. I'm not sure, but I don't think it was. And this one is waterproof. So I saw some people using it surfing and swimming and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool.
One thing for sure, we watched the promo video from DJI and we both agreed that they're doing a great job, like Insta360. This is very convincing. So that's why it's so important to do also independent reviews, because when you look at those promotional videos, it's like, I want one.
Yeah, but they do a great job. I mean, Insta360 also, I think, they've been successful also. Similar to DJI, actually building a very, very good community around their products and really a fan base. And I think that is partly to do with their good marketing. Now, I have to say the 10-bit and the D-Log is, of course, like making this a little bit more unique in that sense, that you can use it more professionally than the Insta360 Go Ultra. And now in terms of availability, DJI issued a statement from their US representatives that they remain committed I put it somewhere We have it here in the article, actually.
You read the statement and I will make the translation.
A DJI spokesperson told us about the US availability of the Osmo Nano. Osmo Nano will not be available officially in the US market on official websites upon its global launch on September 23rd. DJI remains committed to the US market and is optimizing our strategy to best serve our customers amidst evolving local conditions.
What does it mean? That we have to now hook into unofficial sites?
Yeah, well, it's not so unofficial, because if you go to Amazon.com, you can find it in America. And it says actually from the DJI store.
But so it's not B&H, obviously. I mean, it's funny because B&H do have the Insta360, what's the name, Ultra, whatever, the latest one. They do have it, but they don't have the DJI.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the same. We've had this discussion before about the drones, also the drone situation. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know how it can show up on Amazon, but not on B&H.
I think DJI will do really great if they will come up with a very clear statement where and where not you can find it, and just sort things out. Because at the end, obviously in the US, if it's not Amazon or maybe some unofficial vendors, you cannot get this camera.
Well, I don't know if you heard, but there seems to be a in the US some products that seem to be DJI products are sold under a different name.
Yeah, but this is a cat and mouse thing, and that's not a good way to do business at the end.
Of course, but they're trying obviously many things to get around this ban, and it's funny that they're singled out. Because, I mean, Insta360, of course, is also a Chinese company.
Yeah, but with the drones, it's new. The officials obviously will eventually pick up on Insta360 when they will realize that they are doing drones also. And that might come sooner than later. Yeah. But this is just...
Yeah, anyway, let's go back to the Osmo Nano. I mean, that's just a little look at the promo video and what you can do with it. It's nice to go back into this category. I think it's something that should be, I think, more common. I think when I think about an action cam, it should be as small as possible. And I never really understood why this whole kind of GoPro size form factor became the standard, because you very often run into issues with this size, I have to say. It's not, very often it has a built-in monitor. This kind of, whether it's the GoPro or the Action 5, but you don't really use this built-in monitor a lot, because you just put it on the car, you put it on your skis, you put it on the helmet, you don't actually watch the screen. So I think a form factor like this with a separable monitor makes so much more sense. And I think this should be, in my opinion, the standard for action cameras. So it's funny that now they realize they have to get back into this after everybody was really complaining about losing the Action 2 form factor many years ago. So
what is actually new from GoPro? Any news?
I don't know. We don't know if it was in reaction to that announcement, but they also issued kind of an update to a couple products. They just announced the GoPro Max 2, so a new... they call it the only true 8K 360 action camera. Of course, that is a reaction to DJI Osmo 360 and, of course, all the 360-degree Insta360 cameras that are out there. So there's a new Max 2. There's also a new camera called Lit Hero, the miniature lifestyle camera with a built-in light, which is interesting. So yeah, and last but not least, a gimbal. A gimbal. So they're in the gimbal business also. Yeah, we don't, of course, know if that is an actual rebranded product or something that GoPro made, but it's weird that they go into the gimbal thing. Of course, it's the one thing where Insta360 doesn't have a product. Of course, DJI does. Yeah, so here is the video for the Max 2. I guess we just have to find out if it actually has a new sensor, if it's more light sensitive than the predecessor. Yeah.
We will dive into this, and if there's anything to report, of course, we will show the audience.
Yeah, I mean, we actually have a review of the Osmo 360 in the works. Our writer Masha took it to, I think she was in Kyrgyzstan, doing a bike packing tour. I hope I didn't mix up any of the stands she's been to. But yeah, so she took it really through its paces, and she said, I mean, it was in freezing temperatures and everything, and it worked out. So she's working on that review as we speak.
And also Gunther will very soon review this one.
The Osmo Nano.
Exactly, because he will be on a bike tour. He's always on vacation, this gentleman. I'm joking.
He's always traveling. Yeah. But that will be a vacation. So yeah, let's see. In terms of GoPro, we know that if you look at the stock price, they're struggling. We haven't really, it's not like we're sent review units or anything like that anymore. So we just hear from via email if they introduce new products. So
that's fine.
That's totally fine. But we just see there's a lot more competition than there used to be, and now really, if you think about it, you really have Insta360 and DJI go head to head on so many different areas. I mean, you have the drones, of course, with the anti-gravity drone, and of course the DJI drones. Anti-gravity drone, first 360-degree drone that's kind of like with a built-in 360 capture is really something that DJI doesn't have. Then with the Osmo Nano, they go head to head with the Go, Insta360 Go series. I mean, the Ultra and also the Go 2 and so on, and the predecessor. And now, and of course the 360-degree camera, the Osmo 360 from DJI is something that originally only DJI made. So it seems like they're really kind of chasing each other, and who does that leave in the dust? It's GoPro, because they technologically haven't been as fast to innovate. I mean, you saw the last GoPro, I think it was the Hero 13 Black, didn't really offer a new sensor. It was just like software enhancement basically. So yeah, they're not in an easy spot right now, I think. I mean, for so long they've really dominated this action camera market because nobody else would touch it, and they also had the best quality. But we saw already with our Action 4 review from DJI that I think that was the point when DJI finally caught up in terms of image quality and surpassed GoPro. And now they're a little bit behind. So let's see if they are still able to catch up at their current position, because we know they're not in an easy spot right now. Yeah.
Good. Shall we move on? I mean, enough of DJI Osmo Nano. I think it's very clear. And what else?
Let's move on to our poll of the week. We asked you which camera announcement from IBC 2025 excited you most.
Yeah, and that was quite an easy one because there were like 4 announcements, 3 plus 1, let's say.
Although I have to say we forgot one.
Why? Which one?
What about the red V-Raptor XE, which was also announced?
Yeah, but in a way, I don't know. It's like it is an announcement, but
well, the Eterna was also announced before.
That's why I said 3 plus 1. So it's the Nikon ZR, Canon EOS C50, the Pixboom Spark that we are just completing a first look review. Gunther took it to India to film butterflies, and
not completing. It's still in the works. Going to take another weeks.
Well, no. We will middle of October. We're going to sit and talk and show footage, and that's in the making. Yeah, and then of course the Fujifilm GFX Eterna 55. So we had almost 800 people reacting to the poll, which is quite nice. And I would say that by far, the Nikon ZR is the one to excite people most. This is the camera also won our Best of Show award next to the EOS C50. But in this regards, I think this mixture, and that's what Nikon got right, this mixture of adding some red components into it / the codec, and the price, which is what, $2,200. This is obviously spot on, and it's funny because when we talk to the Nikon people, it was like, guys, are you sure that you're releasing something so good, but for that price? And they were like, yeah, it's like, obviously maybe they could have charged more, but for us as end users, it's really great. The price is really great, and we are already working on our own review of the camera.
It's also interesting, the price, because you see other manufacturers increase prices regularly. We didn't report about it, but it was
Sony.
just another price increase on Sony cameras.
That's right.
I think it's the third in a row since, the US tariffs were kind of enacted, and it's hitting people hard. I mean, some of the cameras went up $400 in price, some of the alpha cameras, and then you have a Nikon ZR for $2,200, and they also have to pay the tariffs importing that stuff. So it is interesting that Nikon is not passing on these costs to end users as much, at least, and Sony's not the only one. Others also increased the prices.
But the Nikons that are, we can tell you guys, it's just very popular. We can see in our backhand with B&H when it comes to ordering. There are a lot of pre-orders for this camera. Obviously, Nikon did something right. We talked about it, but back to the poll. So that's obviously the camera that excited the guys most. Right after it, with maybe half of the votes, is the Canon EOS C50. Then we have the FUJIFILM GFX ETERNA 55, which, by the way, we conducted a very nice interview with Oren Soffer.
We'll talk about that.
We're going to talk about this in a second. And then, quite surprisingly, the Pixboom Spark, that, in all honesty, I was sure that BSI, back illuminated, global shutter, 4K or 2K up to 2,000 frames per second.
Something like that, yeah. But 1,000 frames in 4K.
In 4K, I was really sure that will excite people more. But obviously, that got the least votes, only 53 out of
Well, don't forget, it's a niche camera. It's almost as if we put an action camera in there. You cannot use it for every purpose. And
it's not that I take it personally. I'm just saying that I thought that the Pixboom Spark will generate a bit more. You know what? Also, when you look at their Kickstarter campaign, I think the company already raised
They just surpassed 2 million. I just got the newsletter. They already surpassed 2 million in a couple of days. I think their Kickstarter launched like a week ago.
Yeah.
So, it's amazing. I mean, they're doing quite well. Of course, people are excited about that. Yeah, but I think it's a niche camera. You can't really compare them one by one. So that's... But you see it also... I mean, literally, if you look at the normal cameras, the most affordable one was the most popular one because it's also like price performance. Of course, the Nikon ZR is unmatched. Then you have the C50, which is also not expensive, but it is more expensive. But it has open gate and all those things that you don't get on the ZR. And it's kind of right in the middle. And then the Fujifilm GFX Eterna, of course, being the most expensive one out of those three of the normal cameras, gets 15.5%, which I think makes sense. I mean, it's targeted at a higher end user group. It's a more niche camera as well with a large format sensor. And I think the two cameras that are really competing here are the ZR and the C50. And
I mean, they're very different, but in a way, it's also an assurance to what we already talked about and predicted, that those compact cinema cameras are those are the hot cakes right now. That's what people are looking for.
Which actually is a good segue into the next topic because of our interview with Nobu-san, the leader of the cinema division from Sony. That was an interview we just released also from IBC 2025. And of course, I mean, Sony was one of the manufacturers that didn't really have new cameras to show. I mean, they had a new Handycam kind of with a fixed lens to show, but that's not kind of our core audience because we're looking at the cinema stuff mostly. So the discussion really centered around the evolution of the FX line in terms of firmware upgrades that just came out, also the recent edition of the FX2, and the evolution of their very, very capable monitor and control app, which a lot of people are very excited about because it can really do a lot. This app has come such a long way. And I just recommend you watch this interview because he was not shy to even make some comments about the competition.
Nice.
Like he even,
with names?
We talked. Nice. We talked about the Nikon. We talked about the Canon. I mean, of course, they can never talk about unannounced products or whatever is coming, might be coming or not coming. There's no point in speculating with somebody like this. But he was, they're acknowledging that
the open gate,
the marketing is the market is moving on, and I think Sony must feel the pressure in a way, right? Because right now, I mean, they have the biggest user base, of course, with their compact cinema cameras being extremely popular. As you just mentioned, I mean, we see that the FX3 has been a huge hit. Then, of course, the FX30 a little bit less so. It has a Super 35 sensor, and now with the FX2, they're kind of hitting that market for people who wanted something like the FX3. But with a viewfinder and a little bit different base ISOs, which makes it a little bit more versatile, I would say, or even. But so basically the discussion centered around where things are headed in general in the market. So it's always interesting to listen to Nobu-san, just because he has this bird's eye view on where things are going. And of course, they are by far, out of the traditional camera manufacturers, the most popular cameras. So
what do you take from this conversation in between the lines?
In between the lines, that they're not kind of blind to what's happening in the market. Okay, that they're really working on something that people will want in the future also. And it's just, like competition drives innovation. And I think they're very much aware of that. Of course, Sony is a giant. So don't forget that but many of the sensors we see in different manufacturers' cameras actually come from Sony. So they're kind of almost always winning, like whatever happens. They are, like Sony is such a behemoth in the market that their camera division is tiny compared to everything they make. And but they still benefit, like you have all the sensors that go into smartphones, you have the sensors that go into other cameras, and it's sometimes a sign of things to come. If you look at other cameras where they might put their own sensors in their own cameras in the future. So,
I mean, the next chance is hopefully Interbi during November. We will be there, of course, on the show floor to report. Maybe there will be something new.
We don't know. And we had a nice conversation also as part of this interview with Ben Pilling from Sony about the camera and control app, which is now becoming more capable in a sense that you can connect up to, I think, 20 cameras to it. This app is, I mean, we've talked about this several times before. It's gotten a lot of love from Sony over the years. And it gives you the ability to, of course, use your smartphone or smart device. I mean, also iPads and iPhones and so on. Also, there's an Android version which doesn't have all of the features, but most of them. You can just use it as a proper monitor. So you have all the peaking, you have false color, you have waveforms, all the things you would need, and even camera control. Ironically, I think the layout of the menu and the way some information is displayed, I find even more intuitive than it is on many Sony cameras. I mean, they've come a long way. They have enhanced their menus, which of course we also have the firmware updates to the FX line, which gives this big 6 menu now to a lot more cameras in the lineup, which is like a fast way of kind of changing settings and stuff like that. But I mean, the monitor control app is extremely capable, and it's now also compatible with Mac. So I think that is probably because it's also an M-based app. So while it's originally made for iPad and iPhone, you can also run it on a Mac, which of course is more convenient if you control a lot of apps.
Is that free or it being charged?
The basic app is free, but if you want to unlock all the capabilities, there is a charge. I mean, if you for example, want to do the control of, I don't know exactly what moves into the paid tiers, but for example, if you want to control 20 cameras, it's going to be
gonna cost you
charge for it. Yeah, okay. But I mean, there are some really cool functions. You can even window into some of the, like crop into the shots and have additional angles and stuff like that. It's really advanced. It's not just like your average kind of control app, like because. Like you have other app manufacturers. We'll talk actually about Accsoon as well. Like they have a very good app to control as a monitoring app, the C app. that now also gets some camera control functionalities for, I think, the Sony FX6, but it doesn't do everything that the monitor and control app is capable of doing. You know, like multicam is just quite advanced, and LUTs and all kinds of things you can do now. So it's very much worth checking out this app if you are a user of an FX line camera. There are some limitations still. We had some comments, and I completely agree with them that, you know, like there are not as many updates coming to, for example, the A7S III as there are for the FX3, which technically it's the same camera, same processor, same sensor, same everything, but they're not giving it as much love with the firmware updates. So there's also some limitations around the monitoring. For example, I think you can only display log footage and not.
I'll be very careful with those. It's the same, because I know firsthand that it's very difficult to implement things, even if it looks the same.
I've no doubt that it's difficult, but you see, I mean, you very often have small teams working on those things, and of course, they would need more people on the software side to kind of roll out updates over all their cameras. And there has been frustration in the past before with even some higher end alpha models, which, you know, didn't get as many firmware updates as some lower end models and so on. And also, when we talk about autofocus performance and all that, like that, it's a bit of a mess, to be honest. And I think they should just, try to roll this out across the product line more consistently.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Good.
Then let's move on to the interview you mentioned with Oren Soffer on shooting with a FUJIFILM GFX ETERNA 55. Now,
maybe just a little bit about Oren first, if you want to highlight.
Now, Oren is an extremely talented cinematographer who a lot of people, I think, got to know through the feature film The Creator, where he was DP, and that was, of course, science fiction movie that was quite popular, and it was shot on the Sony FX3. And at the time, this made a lot of headlines, because why would you shoot a feature film on a small camera like the FX3? And the thing is, he told us, so Fujifilm invited him to shoot a launch film, and I think we mentioned this last week when we talked about the Best of Show awards that we gave out, and also kind of like in general the perception of this rollout of the GFX ETERNA 55, which is now really feature complete, and we know the price and everything, but we haven't seen any independent reviews yet, and they really focused on hiring kind of very good, very talented DPs and directors to shoot launch films, because they really wanted to highlight the image quality, not so much the specs, because we know the camera doesn't record RAW internally, so they probably wanted to focus more on the image quality of this large sensor. And I think they succeeded at that, because Oren, I think he told us in the interview, and it's very much worth watching. I mean, it's a 20 minutes interview, I think, that we conducted at the film museum, the Film Museum in Amsterdam, beautiful building, which Fujifilm rented, I think, for the launch of the GFX ETERNA 55 one day before IBC started. And we sat down with him in a cinema to talk about this movie that he shot for Fujifilm. Now, he first got in touch with Fujifilm apparently while he was shooting The Creator, because he was shooting set stills with a GFX 102. And I think he also published a lot of them on his own website. And then I guess Fujifilm got in touch with him to ask him to really shoot a launch film of the GFX ETERNA. And together with a colleague of his...
Exactly, and Andrew,
what's his name?
Keitlinger, I think it's...
Andrew Keitlinger, yeah.
Yeah, it's important to say, because last time I kind of missed the name, and he's the writer-director, and they worked on this project together, so yeah.
Yeah, and what do you think about the film? Oh, it's called OK.
Actually, it's not just okay. I think it's superb. I think it's a very nice film as a stand-alone product. This is something that actually can be enhanced in general into a full length featured. What I liked here, and maybe that's also a beginning of a kind of a trend, and this you can easily do with the ETERNA 55, is the mix of open gate 4:3 images and anamorphic. I think in that specific film, it worked perfectly. They were kind of riding on different timelines of the story. One timeline was represented with the 4:3 open gate image, and the other one with the anamorphic. Personally, I like it. Maybe this is something that I am taking for myself as a note from this film, that I personally should dare more. And either it's 3:2 or 4:3, doesn't matter. I'm just to shoot square. It looks very nice. So that's what I take from it, and the image quality is fine. I don't want to go again into this debate. Yes, internal RAW, not internal RAW. Let's leave this aside and really concentrate on the image itself. And the image itself was very nice and extremely nice. And Oren did not miss in any given time, not shooting with internal RAW. And I think the post house that edited also did not complain about this or the rolling shutter. We will have our hands on the camera rather soon, and we will report to you firsthand, guys, and tell how we felt working with it. And
I think it's worth mentioning that they also didn't shoot external RAW, because on the Creator, of course, the FX3 they used an external Atomos recorder to record everything in ProRes RAW, but not in this case, which is of course possible. You can do that, and I think it's worth pointing out that this launch film, the OK, has a lot of handheld shots. And of course, I mean, one of the major concerns that a lot of people had is because it is based on the GFX 102, that the rolling shutter is, probably not very little, but you didn't see it. Like there was, I think there's maybe 2 shots where I even saw it, where it's like whip pans, where you can see there's a little bit of rolling shutter, but it's so much handheld and it doesn't disturb. And he also said it didn't disturb him.
Yeah, but again, for the fairness, we don't know what left on the editing.
And of course, he was paid to make this film, so it's like, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. But it didn't seem to detract them from doing a lot of handheld.
That's right. That's why when we will have it, and it's not about panning the camera left and right. It's really about working with it properly and see how it works also for us, because at the end of the day, Oren is working on the high-end films, I would say, and we will try to work on a mini documentary and see how it works for so many of us in the field.
Yeah, and also, I mean, of course, we will, once we get access to it, put it through its paces in our lab test as well. But don't put it, it's a lab test. It's the same scientific test every time, and it doesn't. That's why I think it makes sense for a company to launch a camera like this, where you can actually see its visual quality, and of course, there's color science that Fujifilm is rightfully very proud of, as opposed to only specs, because that's But we're still gonna, of course, put it through its paces in the lab test.
You know what I love, because sometimes it really depends. If there is no internal RAW, we will complain why there is no internal RAW, and when there is internal RAW, we will say, great. Of course, why no other cameras have internal RAW? I think the more we have, the more options we have to shoot internally, it's great. Yeah, and the Nikon ZR is a good example, although, I mean, there you have 3 types of RAW recording, but all of them are kind of high bit rate.
And people are now complaining that it's too much data.
Exactly.
It's too much data.
I guess, it's 2025, maybe this is the year of a bit complaining, having too good stuff.
It's always a bit of
but it depends.
If you have a camera that costs $2,200 like the ZR, and you record in a RAW codec that I think 23 minutes is like a terabyte or something in the ProRes RAW HQ. Of course, it's a bit of you will spend the money you're saving on the camera on storage media, essentially, if you want to shoot that.
Flexibility is good, and as always, try to shoot on the format that you need for your production. That's.
But again, if you're interested in that interview with Oren, very, very
nice
insightful,
interview, friendly interview.
Very insightful. It's now on our site, and of course, watch also the launch film. They actually. we saw the whole thing in the cinema there because they presented it in a very beautiful cinema, and we saw the ending. The version that is online is missing the ending. They are saying they will reveal the ending in 26.
Okay,
so
I think what
we're
also,
not going to spoil it for you though.
That's one thing, and the second thing is just watch. There's a lot of behind the scenes,
Yes,
images and videos. Like there's a whole video behind the scenes, and that's always. Sometimes it's even nicer to look at than the actual film, just to see how it's being done. And if you have questions about certain shots, maybe the answer is there.
It's all in this article, and of course, link in the show notes as usual. All right, let's move on to a little bit of software news. Adobe, as part of during IBC, before IBC, whatever, they announced an update to Premiere Pro. It's now version 25.5, and the main thing here is that they are adding over 90 built-in new effects, transitions and animations, and faster playback. They really enhanced the timeline. Now, in terms of effects, that is actually something that they licensed or bought the Film App Impact Library, which used to be a separate purchase, and it's now integrated into the app.
Which is amazing. If you look at all other popular NLEs, all of them have a lot of built-in transitions and effects, and actually Adobe was really lacking those, and it was just obviously a question of time, and now it's the time to come with some of those effects. In all honesty, I don't know who is still using effects when they're editing. Certainly not us well, you know what I mean. I mean, maybe for music videos and whatever, but
not for narrative stuff or documentaries. But
but it's good to have. It's really good that you don't have
social media
to pay.
Stuff. You use it all the time.
Yeah, of course. But it's good that you don't have to pay extra for that.
And it's very, very good, high quality stuff, I think.
Yeah, and it's good that there's a lot of enhancements to the timeline to work faster with audio. That's really essential, especially, I mean, guys, when we are editing our audio of the mini documentaries, for example, sometimes we are spitting blood, but now it seems like it's a bit easier to work with. But even more importantly, I really like the enhancements. We haven't tested it yet, but the enhancement in Playback. One of the enhancements is the ability to work with the Canon raw material, the raw light material, even faster. So this is something that we still have to check and also see if finally this version is actually supporting the EOS C50, because when we tried it before, of course it was not. And I also downloaded the beta version. Now Adobe is always allowing you to download for free the next beta version and check some new stuff. So if not here, I'm very curious to see if the beta version is already supporting the EOS C50, and we know that it was also not supporting the ZR, the Nikon ZR. So I really wonder if this one is already supporting.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's great that they're focusing on performance updates, because I think Adobe very often has the image of adding new features at the expense of really not fixing stuff that people didn't like. And this time they really, with all the focus on the timeline, they seem to be really focused on this. I honestly, I'm not really editing in Premiere. I use DaVinci and I use Final Cut, and I see that when I look at the timeline enhancements now, it feels more like the performance of Final Cut finally in the timeline, because that's what I felt. It's always so much snappier with any of those changes. When editing with Premiere, especially the timeline stuff and keyframes in the timeline, I always had the feeling like I'm working with Final Cut Pro 7, because I mean that's what it's looking like, right? And I'm very happy that they are finally enhancing this. Also, a lot of the labeling stuff that is now there is, we know this from other NLEs, and it's nice. Actually, I think in this launch video they mentioned 5 times, when I wrote this article, they mentioned 5 times, we're listening. So they are listening. It's good. Yeah. So there's really
it's a good marketing thing. Yeah.
But I mean, they finally are realizing that this is something that people were annoyed with, that it's basically, you have so many features in there, and sometimes a feature is added, but it's 90% there, and it never gets 100%, because they're already adding more and more and more and more. And I think, it's great that they focus on performance.
Anyway, we will report. I mean, if you guys already downloaded the new version and working with it, not only downloading, please share your thoughts with us, of course. And I think next week I will have the next editing session and see how it works for me. Because sometimes I'm really, really pulling hair, and sometimes I said, why I'm not on DaVinci Results. Which
hair are you pulling?
Well, hair, come on. Which of course has its own issues, but also moving forward. But I think we can conclude and summarize with both companies, Adobe and, for that matter, also Blackmagic Design, are all moving with much faster pace of releasing updates for their software.
We saw it with DaVinci, actually. The final release of DaVinci 20 came out so much earlier than everybody thought. It was already in the summer.
Yeah.
And let's stick with kind of Adobe-related news for a little bit and move into the artificial intelligence territory, which we usually get a lot of love for. That's irony here. Again, we find it important to report about, AI developments that are affecting filmmaking, because it's like a tsunami that is coming towards us. And whether you like it or not, I think everybody who is creating images needs to familiarize themselves also with artificially created images, because it is going to affect whatever you do, whether you're behind the camera or like doing visual effects especially. And what was just released is a new imaging model called Ray 3 video model by Luma AI. And they call it a reasoning video model, the first video model that you can actually, that will understand what you're saying. So basically a little bit like
understand what you're saying,
what you're writing.
Okay.
So basically a little bit like ChatGPT in that way, because of course, I mean, all of those things are text-based still, kind of mainly text-based, which makes it very difficult. You always have to describe what you want, and then you get a result which is like not really what you wanted, and then you have to do a better job at describing it. So this whole prompt engineering thing has become its own industry. People are even selling prompts templates to kind of get what you want. But things are evolving so fast, it's very hard to keep track of things. And this model apparently says that it's understanding what you want and also follow up questions and changes. And for example, you have a draft mode, so you don't have to, because it actually gets expensive. I mean, you spend credits on generating content. It's very easy to spend thousands of dollars every month on just, finally getting to where you want something to be. And this is also the first model that gives you HDR video and even 10-bit, 12 and 16-bit video. We haven't seen this before. Most of the stuff out there is 8-bit and not HDR. And if you look at the demo video, I mean, it's becoming harder and harder to distinguish this from something that wasn't really properly done as VFX or shot. I mean, this is prompted. All of this is just based on text prompt and a very detailed text prompt. If you look at demo footage like this, you will realize, I mean, this is gonna kill a lot of VFX jobs, to be honest, in like whatever it is, a Marvel movie or whatever. As soon as you're able to control this in its entirety and just get exactly what you want, it's going to be very difficult to justify spending a lot more money on 3D animation artists and stuff like that, to be honest. And that's like it's the reality right now, and it's going to be, like almost everybody can do it if they are spending the money on the credits. So, I mean, this is unbelievable, because really we are now on a Hollywood level here. And this Ray 3 model is just rolling out, and the first company that is implementing it in their product is Adobe in the Firefly. So I think for the first 2 weeks, this is, I mean, you have it available in Luma AI has something that's called Dream Machine, so you can use it there. And the first other one that is kind of offering it is Adobe, and it's going to be part of their Firefly in the Creative Cloud. So there's already a number of very big production studios around the world that are implementing it in Japan, in everywhere around the world. So yeah, it is happening. Check this out if you're, I really recommend you checking this out if you're into VFX. And in general, we're also finishing work on our first generative video workshop for MZ, and that is on ethical AI usage made by Drew Shirazi, who is the man behind, for example, the opening time-lapse of House of Cards. So a very, very well-established cinematographer in his own right. He also worked on West Side Story, Steven Spielberg, and many, many, many other productions. And he really is diving into generative AI video because he's convinced that this is gonna change everything also for him, and combining it with actual footage that he shot. And that course will probably be out by next week. We have it finished already, and it will be updated frequently. So if you are into these things, and it's very, very hard to keep track of everything because there's so many different things being announced and happening at the same time. But if you are interested in diving into this, but you're a little bit scared where to even start, this is the course to watch, because he's trying to look at all the different tools, its advantages, its disadvantages, and so on, and how to. I mean, he told me he spent $5,000 on credits last month alone. It's not a cheap hobby, because if you want to generate this high quality footage, it's costing money, right? Because the generation is costing so much server time that it's really costing money. So you need to know what you're doing in order to get the results you want. And that course is going to be out next week. But yeah, so that is Luma AI Ray 3. All right, let's move on to another IBC interview that we did actually with Accsoon. I mentioned them before. Now, Accsoon didn't have any major hardware releases during IBC, but they are actually working hard on enhancing their products for free, which is amazing.
Yeah. They bring so much stuff.
Yeah.
It's really, they care about the community.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of free stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. I mean, the last hardware product that they announced, I think, was the CineView M7 and M7 Pro monitor. So they're really getting into the monitor game. And if you remember, those monitors are based on, actually I have to just play the video to see some of that. Those monitors are based on Android. So you have an Android operating system and a 7-inch monitor, which of course frees up the monitor to get firmware updates and install other apps. So we've already heard from people who are using, for example, the Sony Monitor and Control app on a CineView monitor because it's running Android. So you can just, and of course there's the Accsoon C app, which is the default app on those monitors, which gives you all kinds of monitoring controls. I mean, literally everything you want in terms of LUT support, waveform, false colors, peaking, of course, all of those things. And what they are adding now is even camera control. So I think the first camera that is supported will be the FX6, and they are also looking to expand this into additional cameras. So it's really great because you get this monitor, you can control your camera with it, and basically, have full control. I mean, this is something that Small HD charges money for basically every camera you want to add.
You know what is my wishful thinking for Accsoon? Actually, to come up with an electronic viewfinder.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not their core business, but I think if I look around, which company might come up and surprise us, hopefully it's them, because they're really into enhancing stuff and do stuff, and just, they're good people in this company.
Absolutely. And you saw the evolution. I mean, basically they had a wireless transmission first, and then the app on the phones, and then they put just one and one together, and they were like, well, actually we can, just make, probably source very good 7-inch panels in the market and just put our software on those and put the wireless capabilities into those, and it's really just putting one and one together. Now the CineView Master 4K, which we reviewed, there's a long video review on our YouTube channel, gets a H.265 encoding update, for free, and basically that gives sharper image quality and smaller file sizes at the same bit rate. And that, of course, makes monitoring and recording capabilities better. And also, because of that update, I think they are able to increase the maximum number of receivers from 4 to 10. So far, you were able to have 4 receivers. I mean, those could have been, like something from the CineView line receivers or the original CineView master receiver. And smartphones, just the total was always 4, and now it's 10, which is great, of course, because if you're working on a set and you need different departments to have access to what the camera is shooting right now also the costume department can have their own receiver and so on. It's very important to have that. And that's just now possible through a simple firmware update. There's a few other things like a V-lock adapter and stuff like that was added, and even a rig for vertical shooting. But yeah, all of that is a lot of small updates to their existing products. If you are a user of their C app or any of their hardware products, check out that video. Link in the show notes. Good. iFootage. iFootage introduced a smaller version of their Shark slider. Now, you know what's funny with some product when companies release a product and call it mini, and then they bring out the next one and they can't use the word mini anymore, and then they have to use nano, for example. I think iFootage had the same problem because their iFootage Shark Slider Nano 2, which we reported about last IBC a year ago, now they brought out an even smaller one, and they already have the Nano. So what are you calling the smaller one?
Yeah, PICO.
PICO. So yeah, this is a really small slider. I think what's the weight here? I mean, it supports up to 7 kilogram of payloads. Let me look at the exact measurements here. Don't have them here, but it looks like something like 30 centimeters. Don't ask me what that is in inches, but I think something like 10 inches, 12 inches maybe. And it's very small, but it's really made for very small setup. So it has a payload of up to 7 kilograms, but it's really recommended to be used with things like a Pocket 3, for example. The Osmo Pocket 3.
I really wonder if that will help me when I'm traveling around doing so many documentaries, because I'm using a slider, very small and very from Smarta, which kind of disappeared from the market altogether, and it's still working very nice, although sometimes not so consistent. But that looks interesting too.
It's very light. I mean, it's extremely light. It's also only $250, so it's kind of it has a built-in battery, so it can work without mains power, and you have this turntable on top, so you can turn your camera on top. It's also, you look at how fast it can go. I mean, it's quite fast, and it also can go extremely slow. We set it to the slowest pace also,
and that was still
in
nice.
In shooting B-roll, and you couldn't see it moving, but it was moving. And it doesn't seem to have those stepping problems that some of them have. So yeah, looks like a cool product, and
still trying to. I'm at the company's website. I'm still trying to know.
It's not there
to find out how much it weighs, but
it's not on the website yet. That was a preview. That's why I struggled writing the article. I really had to base everything on the video because there is nothing on the website yet. It's kind of a preview. They also previewed 2 other things: a longer version of the Shark Slider Nano 2, which is now 86 centimeters, because there was a request for that apparently.
Yeah.
And also they demoed a motorized jib accessory, which didn't work really yet, but it's a really cool idea to have a tiny pole. It almost looked like a monopod, like a thin monopod attached to like a remote head essentially. So that once that works, you can really do motion control in 3 axes with a small camera on a very small slider.
We saw something like this a few years ago. I just can't remember from which company.
Yeah, it's definitely not new, but there's not so much competition in this market anymore. I mean, sliders are kind of not.
Maybe I'm the only one who's still
anymore.
using it. No, I mean,
I used them so much for such a long time, and somehow they disappeared.
if it fits the bag, fits inside the bag and lightweight, I'll happily use them. It all depends. They can be really 40, 50, 60 centimeters. It's really depends how you put it against if you put something very close in the foreground, the movement looks beautiful. So it's still a valid tool.
You don't need a long slider to get the sense of movement if you know how to shoot. Yeah. Good. Let's move on to Saramonic. You did an interview with Saramonic about a new product.
That's right. So this is the Saramonic Air, and it's really nice to see how Saramonic is either moving towards professional stuff, and we have the K9 here that we really like. I really like working with this. This is a professional UHF diversity with a 32-bit internal recording system. The app is amazing. It can really the app of the K9, not this one, where you are in the world, and according to that change the settings of the channels. Really very nice. And this specific one, what I really liked, it's very small. And it's 2 microphones, 1 receiver. The charging case is actually...
But it's for cameras?
This is for cameras or mobile phones. Okay. It's very stylish, the way it looks. And I think there are 2 things that really caught my imagination here. One is this... it has the logo. There's no logo on the microphone if you want to connect an external microphone. And if you compare it to DJI Mic 3, for example, here it is possible to connect microphone. They actually give you 2 microphones, the lavaliers. The only thing is this is a proprietary connectors. Yeah, so the device itself, the receiver, the microphone is just too small to have a 3.5 mic socket. So it was not possible. Here in the video, if you're looking, you can see how to connect it. Very small, but it's possible. So it's very, very nice.
Is there an adapter for 3.5 mini jack?
I actually did not ask. I know that there is, for what they showed, there isn't one. At least from the company. Maybe this is an idea to ask them. The other nice thing that there is, and that's for an extra cost, you can buy, like for the hot show from Sony cameras, there is a way to put the receiver so you don't need any cables to connect the camera. But this is an extra. Other than that, you get 2 transmitters, the receiver, 2 lavaliers with the proprietary cables. And you get the windscreens, and then there's like a little pouch to connect it all, and the charging case. So all in all, I think it's a very nice small package for $179. And if the audio quality, because we haven't worked with this, it's just an interview to expose the product. If the audio quality is anywhere like what Saramonic is making nowadays, it should be nice, because the company is just really enhancing their product.
But this sender is also a microphone by itself.
Yeah, so it is a microphone. Sorry if I missed describing it. You can use it as is, like with a microphone. But you can
connect
that's right. But and of course it has the Saramonic logo on it. But if you want something a bit more discreet and something smaller, no logo, you can use the enclosed microphones, lavaliers.
It's so funny how this is such a crowded market now, where a few years ago we had nothing, and there's so many manufacturers now making very similar.
Yeah, from Holy Land.
And all of them have a logo. I mean, what I love about the Holy Land is that the clip actually is the nicest. You can really hide it easily and use it without
if you saw here the lavalier, how it looks, it's very small and there is no logo. And I think the company is aware that people don't really want this type of...
the receiver also looks very small compared to some others.
It's all very small. It's literally a pocket system, meaning you can really put it in your pocket. I'm not really highlighting this because I think there are other systems in the market, but it's also very easy to change between direct contact with USB-C to a mobile phone, for example, or to a camera via the enclosed cable.
Is the case a charging case?
Yeah.
Nice. And we know the pricing?
$179.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, really Sorry, let me correct myself. It's $169. It's not that the price just dropped $10 less. I mean, we have to update the article. Obviously, it's $169.
Very nice. Yeah, there's a lot of options now in this field. Very cool. Okay, let's move on to a matte box. So Vocas very proudly showed us a matte box that they announced during IBC, and we know they've been working on this for quite a while. It's the it's called the MB260 Ultra Lightweight 4x5.65 matte box with a flexible donut ring. And I have to say, it is very lightweight. They had it on demo there on the various camera mock-ups. And I mean, this is, of course, something Vocas is really catering the high-end market, I would say. That this is not something that is inexpensive.
But they are also acknowledging that the money and the power is moving downwards to the end users.
Of course, yeah. And it's just a very, very compact matte box. I think very smartly designed. And the cool thing about Vocas is, of course, they are a reseller. I think one of the largest, if not the largest reseller in the Netherlands. So they really get so much feedback on other products from other manufacturers, which kind of, for whatever reason people like or don't like. And I guess he confirmed that this is really built from experience. And you can tell, the footprint of this matte box is tiny, and it still has 2 stages.
You know what, I was surprised, but that's the first matte box, a new design after almost a decade.
Yeah.
I'm so much associating Vocas with innovation and matte boxes, but I didn't know that they've been waiting that long in order to show something new. But the material they use here is very interesting. It's like a nylon base.
I couldn't tell what it is, but it feels more. It feels different from carbon fiber, and it's also not aluminum. Yeah, it's something nylon based. It feels very high end. Like almost like aerospace type.
There's some magnetic ideas here.
You have a stage, like one stage where you can put the filter from top, and the second stage you put it from the front, which saves a lot of space because you don't have those 2 trays on top of each other, which of course often adds a lot of bulk and just makes them thicker, those matte boxes.
And my favorite feature here is the donut, which is literally made out of rubber. And then that really saves you the hassle of looking or buying additional rings for your lens. It looks like as if that will fit so many diameters, and that's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a very cool product if you are in the market for a new matte box.
Still a bit expensive, I would say.
And you want to, stay as small and nimble as possible. This is really worth looking at. This is head to head with some solutions from companies like Bright Tangerine and,
maybe Ari themselves, in a way.
Yeah, Ari doesn't have a matte box that light, I think, as far as I know. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. And it's what
just
is
for the price is €536. We obviously can't find this at B&H right now, but it's kind of a mix and match. You can use different components. It is
pricey, but if you think back, of course they are facing a lot of competition from manufacturers like Smallrig and so on, Tilta, and but they've also come down in price quite a bit. If you think about, matte boxes like this used to cost €1,000 easily 10 years ago. So we've seen some change. So yeah,
looks like a solid product.
Absolutely. And in general, I like their. I think we are using my old FS7s here, and I think one of them has the base plate from Vocas on it, and this has been my favorite base plate. It's so light and small. They always are about making things with as little bulk as possible, and I always like that about their products. Cool. Let's move on to a camera bag, the ORCA OR134 Camera Assistant Case Bag.
Yeah, so ORCA has been in the market for a very long time, and the people behind it's a mixture from Kata and from what was the other company? Petrol, that's right. And what is really nice to see that obviously some users are contacting the company with new ideas, and in this regards, that specific bag was made with a collaboration with a Swiss DP camera assistant, Valentino Viniti, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing the name wrongly, but I did my best. And obviously, he wanted a bag that will suit his need, especially as assistant, that you can literally put inside so many things, and it's a very flexible bag. The prototype that we saw is very convincing. It's simply working, and it's some of the ideas that are really genius. And Ohad, the person who actually designed the bag, implemented those ideas in a very nice way. The bag it will take a few more months until they finalize the bag itself. Do we have the price for it? It will be around 380 euros. And it depends on what you want from the bag. But please head to our article. You see the flexibility of it. And I think ORCA did a very nice job here. I think they really have a winner.
Yeah, I think the camera assistants are so often neglected in our industry with accessories, and they are the ones who actually need to work with this stuff literally all day on lots of different shoots. Most camera assistants are on a lot more shoots than DPs, because a DP needs to prepare for a shoot and spends a lot of time not on set, whereas you have good camera assistants are constantly on sets, and they need stuff that works for them. And I know from many of them that they've struggled with proper bags to put lenses and accessories and all the stuff you need to keep cameras clean and so on. And this bag seems to be really made for them.
Yeah. I mean, ORCA is very known for the sound bags.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have, of course, cameras and other stuff too, but they're really very much kind of dedicated to do bags for sound guys. And now I see when they're moving to camera assistants, I think it's a very good move, because as you just mentioned, it is a bit neglected, and hopefully this bag will answer the needs of those dear people.
Yeah. Last but not least, last thing we're going to mention, an interview you did with Roman Rabic from Angelbird, the CEO of Angelbird, about CFexpress 4.0 and the future of workflows.
Yeah, I mean, again, Roman is a great person, very easy to talk to or talk with, and I think it was quite funny that at the end, you see that the CFexpress Association is running forward with enhancing the product. On the other hand, there's always a question mark, do we really need it? Because in so many ways, the earlier version, let's call it version 3 just for the sake of conversation, is probably good enough for so many things that we are doing. And top this with the information that none of the cameras in the market right now is actually supporting CFexpress version 4, meaning whatever you write on the camera is good enough. And we know you write RAW, it can go forever with so many other, with some of the cameras without overheating. So it's working. But here, I think what at least Angelbird did, and that's a very, it's a great idea. It's like kind of twisting. To take the advantage of CFexpress Type 4, especially when it comes to data transfer, writing and reading, and build a whole workflow around it. So they have a reader that we have in the office here, and I think you also tested it and reviewed it. With good cables, dedicated cables, you can literally edit from the card itself. So you can still put it in the camera, even if the camera is not utilizing the full speed. When it comes to editing, either if you need to copy to other devices, or if you just want to edit from the card itself, with the dedicated reader that they have and dedicated cables to utilize the full speed, it's working.
In my review, which we talked about before on the podcast, of this Angelbird Performance card reader CFexpress Type B version 4, I found that we did not have any other SSD or any other device at the office that would offer that kind of speed. I couldn't find anything to compare it with, and that was amazing. The reader actually has a fan built in, which kicks in sometimes. You can hear it. This is something you need to be aware of, but it is extremely fast, like you said. And I actually started using it as my on-the-go SSD. Of course, you shouldn't use the same card you put in the camera and just edit from that without a backup. Yeah. But if you have a camera that has dual CFexpress Type B slots, you know, you will have a backup kind of. Like if you are able to do that, you could, if you need to move fast, actually edit from that directly without copying.
I mean, in all honesty, all the Canon EOS C50, I edited straight from this card. I made a backup. No, I made a backup. I made a backup, but edited straight from the card. Fan kicks in, but that didn't interrupt me. I think the main advantage here is portability, and again, especially for my working style workflow, have something that small and fast. Was the bottleneck was not anymore the card. It felt somehow that it's more Adobe that is limiting me from reading the files fast. But again, that was before the latest update.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, people have to look at all the components. And I think a lot of people basically neglect the reader component very often. And if you use the built-in SD card reader in your MacBook, I mean, that's not very fast. For example, if you compare it to an external CFexpress or SD card reader, it's incredible the difference if you use like a proper external reader versus the built-in one. It's significant.
But on the other hand, if you do copy-paste footage to your, let's call it SSD in the MacBook Pro, it's working great. So
but through a reader.
Yeah, I'm talking the real reader. You mean there's only
the SD reader.
There's only SD here.
Yeah, and the SD reader is slow. The SSD, the built-in SSD, is very fast, but the SD reader is extremely slow.
Okay.
So that's just something that people need to be aware of. So good. So basically, So
it's a 300 euro for the card reader, the CFexpress Type B card reader. We also moving more and more to work with the CFexpress Type 4 cards, and those are, of course, depends on the capacity, but the 1 terabyte cost also $300. So
that's the 3,700 megabyte per second card. That's now available, and of course you need all the components to kind of support.
Don't forget
it.
The
cable. The included cable. My tip is always use. If you don't remember which one was the original cable that came with it, because of course the USB 4 cables, you can't. There's no sign on it. There is no marking on it. Most manufacturers, unfortunately, don't write on it what version is.
I go by the color. If it's colorful, must be faster.
Yeah, that's not true though. No, and what helps is if you use the one with a little flash on it, like because that's the Thunderbolt cable, and Thunderbolt cables are always fast enough to support of that. So you could use any Thunderbolt cable with that reader, and you will not have the bottleneck in the.
And we know Iodine and Angelbird are actually the ones that we use most right now.
Angelbird doesn't make Thunderbolt cables, but Iodine does, and but Angelbird makes the CFexpress Type 4 USB 4 actually. Sorry, USB 4 USB-C cables. Yes, but anyway. Just have the right connections, and then you will have the maximum speed. All right, let's wrap it up here.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's a bit more updates from IBC. Last few videos are being posted as we speak. By next week, we finally move into other stuff and put IBC behind us.
Yeah, more reviews are coming up.
Yes.
So just that you guys be in the picture, not necessarily that it will be for next week, but the Nikon ZR, the Pix Boom first look,
OM
gimbal, K and F tripod,
Nucleus M2 review is finally gonna be out by next week, which is a very long video review.
That's right. Yeah. So there's a lot in the making right now. Please be patient, and we are there. We're getting there.
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned, and of course, subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform. Leave a comment. Send us links that things, questions, whatever you want us to cover more. We're always here to listen. It's podcast@cined.com, and hear you next week. Bye.
Thank you.